Well, the college football season is here, and that means it's time for us to really start digging into the 2024 NFL draft class and begin construction on New England Patriots Big Board of prospects. Back in early June, we posted a video titled New England Patriots 2024 NFL Draft Preliminary Targets and Analysis, where I went over roughly 10 prospects for some of the high priority positions for the Pats for the 2024 draft. In that video, I also discussed how I was fairly bullish on the 2023 rookie class and Bill Belichick's and Matt Groh's strategy for the draft. For my entire 2023 draft coverage, I was stressing the need for a corner, offensive tackle, and a quick slot receiver. In addition, I was hoping they would take advantage of the deep tight end class and edge classes. Well, they did take the corner with Christian Gonzalez, and they picked up Keon White for the edge. In addition, they grabbed Demario Douglas as a slot receiver, but they elected to bolster their interior offensive line as well as special teams with a kicker, punter, coverage player, and a kick punt returner. Admittedly, I was initially confused about the interior offensive line picks. However, I ultimately saw the reasoning behind the pick, especially now that So is working at tackle. Yes, I realized everybody wanted that big bruising offensive tackle and the big play wide receiver, but those were limited in the 2023 draft. So I wasn't entirely surprised the Patriots elected to forego drafting them in the first half of the draft. Why? Well, I did mention in my analysis that the 2024 draft class will crush this year's draft class, especially in offensive tackle and wide receiver prospects. So I think the Patriots did the right thing by addressing some of the current needs and upcoming issues in the 2023 draft. Most importantly, picking strong talent in lower valued position groups in a weak draft class was incredibly smart in my opinion. Drafting the punters, kickers, guards, centers, and special team mavens seemed like a waste of a pick in that moment. But I am glad they did this year, rather than this upcoming draft where there is a target-rich environment on both sides of the ball. Back in May, I already found 150 draft targets for the Patriots in the 2024 draft, and I have expanded that to over 1,000 players now. This year I plan on having videos covering each round and UDFA targets, and will update throughout the season. For today, I plan on revealing over 1,000 draft prospects and will highlight some of my favorite athletes in each position group, and most importantly, what round they could be targeted in. Yes, this list goes from first round all the way to UDFA. We will be prepared this year. First, let's discuss the Patriots' projected needs for 2024 and the talent concerns overall. Before we get started on the needs, I want to restate that I'm simply pointing out some of the upcoming contracts in 2024 and reviewing some issues on the roster. I'm not considering any chances of athletes re-signing or walking. In addition, I'm excluding any trades or free agent signings that may occur this year or during the 2024 offseason. Yes, some of these guys have been cut, but obviously that also means there is a need for next year. So we have Hunter Henry, Trent Brown, Riley Reif, Kendrick Bourne, Mike Gesicki, Jalen Mills, Matthew Slater, Miles Bryant, Nick Folk, Cody Davis, Kyle Duggar, Ty Montgomery, Mac Wilson, Josh Uche, James Ferentz, Anthony Jennings, Trace McSorley, Corliss Waitman, Mike Onwenu, Matt Sokol, Kevin Harris, and of course Cody Russi. So that's basically 2 offensive tackles, 2 centers, a guard, tight end, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 quarterback, multiple cornerbacks, a few safeties, several linebackers, 1 upright edge, and a defensive tackle. Obviously, the team is going to have to resign most of these players or pull in a big free agent class. Thankfully, they should have around $133 million in cap space next year, but I have to expect Kyle Duggar, Uche, and Onwenu are going to be looking for raises. Trent Brown, Hunter Henry, and Gesicki are not cheap and could have a great year and will be asking for a bump in salary. Reif and Bourne will also be costly. Now, Mapo should alleviate the Duggar threat to a certain extent. So and Mafi pick should be good for Onwenu and Reif. Uche will need to be replaced if he thinks he's worth a big contract. Trent Brown and Reif are up there in age and will still look to get paid. 3 tight ends, 2 receivers, So I think the Patriots are going to have to lean on the draft to get some rookie contracts to keep the cost down. With their estimated 8 pick, Patriots might be able to fill in a few of those holes with the draft. Now, looking at needs, I would also roll over the offensive tackle and wide receiver as the 2 top priorities. Upright edge is still there, getting like a jack linebacker or an elephant backer. Safety, D-tackle, as well as another corner could also be in the target in the first round, along with one promising tight end just to address some of the 2024 free agent issues. In addition, the Patriots need to consider the looming 2025 free agent list of Mac Jones, Judon, Stevenson, Jones, Godchow, Barmore, Dietrich Wise, Andrews, Adrian Phillips, Peppers, and Lawrence Guy. Plus McDermott and Calvin Anderson will also be up. So the 2024 draft will have to address some of the impending concerns for 2025 as well, considering the names on that list, especially if they think they're not going to go with Mac Jones for his 5th-year option, which is due in the first half of May of next year, or he becomes a free agent in 2025. So a QB might be the biggest concern for the draft if Mac fails to show improvements this year. So a QB, an upright edge, running backs, corner, 3D tackles, DN, center, and a safety. Keon White should help with the D-line issues. Jake Andrews might be an adequate replacement for David. But between the 2 free agent classes, upright edge / outside linebacker, defensive tackle, and a safety are big concerns still. So add them to the top priorities next to O-tackle and wide receiver, plus tight end, running back, and the big unknown of potential QB. To sort that out, the Patriots could be targeting offensive tackle, wide receiver, upright edge, or an outside linebacker, a defensive back that can handle both corner and safety, a tight end, defensive tackle, running back, and a quarterback. So there's 8 positions to target in the draft. All of them arguably could be first-round picks. I, of course, again would circle offensive tackle, wide receiver, and I would stress the need for linebacker with an upright edge, tight end, D-tackle, and another defensive back at the highest priorities of this draft because of the need of them in 2024 and also in 2025. The point here is the Patriots have a lot of work to do this year to prepare for the draft and start forming a free agent strategy. Before we revisit the list of top prospects, I have to point out that these college players on the list and on the big board have obviously not declared for the draft yet, and we don't know if they will decide to stay another year. These lists are not comprehensive and are not perfect. We are simply developing a big board and some key targets. Alright, let's starting off with the offensive tackle. I've got 52 tackles. I've already narrowed this group down from over 100, but I'm sure I will be adding to it and then refining it several times before the draft. The big message for tackles is that we have a solid list with a lot of them that are worthy to be in the first and second rounds. This year is not going to be a bunch of fringe talent being shifted up due to the need to fill the void like last year. I will reiterate that the top 3 to 4 guys are arguably better than any of the tackles in this last year's class. Paris Johnson Jr. and Skoronski were probably the only 2 guys that would be competitive in the top 5 tackles here. We should be really targeting O-tackle help this year because of the condition of our O-line, even with the recent trades. Plus, there's the fact that the offensive tackles are typically the 4th or 5th highest paid position on average each year. So getting them on a rookie contract is huge. Alright, let's talk some of my favorites. Olu Fashanu from Penn State, arguably a top 5 pick. Same thing with Joe Alt from Notre Dame. J.C. Latham might make his way into that conversation, but he's probably a first-round pick. Kingsley Sumataya from BYU, physical freak. Could be a first-round guy. Blake Fisher, most likely moving in the second here from Notre Dame. Zion Nelson, same thing. Late first, early second round. Jordan Morgan, Arizona, probably second round guy. Jack Nelson, another second round guy. Jordan Morgan, Arizona, second round guy. Jack Nelson from Wisconsin, probably second round. Graham Barton, watched his tape, seems super strong. He could probably be a first round, but most likely a second round guy. Ruben Faithley from Texas A&M. I'm looking at him in second or third round. Same thing with Amarius Mims from Georgia. Garrett Greenfield from South Dakota State University on tape. Probably a first or second round prospect, but he might be a good steal in like the third. Possibly day 3. Connor Colby from Iowa, another guy to keep an eye on. I think they have him at guard right now, but he has played tackle, so could be a good steal in maybe the third or fourth round. Kieran Amegajai from Yale, probably a day 3 guy. Also another Yale guy, Jonathan Mendoza, looking for him at 3. Nick Correa from URI, probably a day 3 guy, maybe even UDFA if he goes under the radar. Same thing with Ryan Cole from Richmond. Josiah Izriam, Eastern Kentucky University, probably going to be a UDFA. Another UDFA guys we got here is Aiden Williams, Minnesota Duluth. Kyle Hergel. He's at Boston College. I think they have him at guard, but he has played tackle. Again, maybe a day 3 UDFA guy. Goes under the radar. Super strong. Just transferred in. Again, might be going under the radar there. DJ Jones from Murray State. Again, day 3. Possibly UDFA. Jared Penning from UNI. Yes, Trevor Penning's brother. Probably a UDFA guy. Tyler Smith, Western Carolina. Again, UDFA. Chris Walker from Montana. Michael Jarrell from Findlay. Jalen Travis from Princeton. Blake Larson. Augustana. Have you even heard of that college? I had to go digging for him. Saw some tape. Very impressive. Big dude. Runs people over. And Garrett Grayberg from Idaho College. Yeah, go look that one up. Point here is that there's lots of tackles out there, and you can find plenty of guys from first round all the way through UDFA that can legitimately play the position. All right, now let's move on to wide receivers, which I have around 130 prospects. No excuses for not pulling wide receivers this year, ranging from first round all the way to UDFA again, and I've got D1, D2, D3, and NAIA. Yeah, I actually went and watched some D3 tape for us. So, I've got basically 10 wide receivers that are worthy of first or very early second round picks. Last year, we had maybe 5 that would fall in the first or second round. I would say Jackson Smith-Njigba and Zay Flowers being the only guys I would 100% put on my top list this year. The best part about the top prospects is that most of these players are what the Patriots are lacking. Big, fast, powerful, legit wide receiver 1 material. The receiver class is very deep. I would say about 25 to 30 guys are worthy of first to third round target grades. Yeah, almost a whole round of wide receiver in the top 100 picks. And you think I'm crazy? Most of the top wide receivers in last year's draft class weren't even the best receiver on their college team last year. Minus Zay Flowers from Boston College and Tank Dell from Houston, most of the other top receivers were even the best in their college locker room. It is a solid class with diverse talents. Similar to offensive tackles, wide receivers are often top 3 in terms of average salary, so getting them on rookie contracts is huge. Alright, let's take a look at some of my favorites. Obviously, number 1 is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. He's arguably in a league of his own. His counterpart there, Emeka Egbuka, also very quick and fast. Probably would be the second guy off the list. The other 2 guys you consider is Xavier Worthy from Texas. Super fast, really quick, very slight. I think he's listed at 165. But he's got some moves and he's talented. The guy that I think that might be able to get in at second is Malik Neighbors from LSU. Another good guy to look at is Rome Odunze from Washington. One of my favorite guys is Johnny Wilson. Big, I think he's like 6'7", from Florida State. Kind of big slot guy, but obviously can play in the perimeter. Troy Franklin's not getting as much coverage as I think he would. He's from Oregon. I think he's got first round talent, but if you can get him the second, great. Dorian Singer transferring from Arizona to USC. He's joining a group of a DC. Yeah, I think USC has about 3 guys that probably will be drafted in the first 3 rounds this year, so it's going to be a competitive group. I think his tape will show that he's a first or second round talent, but you might be able to get him in the third. Jalen McMillan's coming up on Washington. Again, another guy that on tape looks like he's a first, second round talent, but he might be a little bit smothered by Rome. Jacob Cowing from Arizona, probably the first guy on this list that I would put as a legit, quick, shifty slot receiver. DeCorian Clark. Now, this is where we're going to start getting into like maybe day 3 guys. DeCorian might make it like 3rd round. University of Texas, San Antonio. Super explosive, very quick. I think he's going to be rated in the 4.3s with like a 40-inch vert. Good tape, good hands. The only problem is he's from UTSA. Austin Watkins Jr., UAB. Again, very similar to DeCorian. I think he's probably going to be a day 3 guy. Jaquan Burton from FAU. I thought he was coming out last year. Looks like he's coming back for another year. Again, another guy that's just super fast, runs good routes, got good leaping ability, solid hands. So we got Brendan Rice, wide receiver from USC. Yes, son of the great Jerry Rice. Very comprehensive wide receiver, just like his dad. I don't see any major flaws. He's not super explosive, but guy can catch, he knows what he's doing, and he's athletic enough. Possibly, day 2, maybe even day 3. Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan. A little underrated, super fast, powerful guy. I think he's coming out this year. I think he should. Allie Jennings III, another guy I thought was coming out last year, but he decided to transfer to Virginia Tech. He's a physical freak. Again, another guy who can jump, very quick, fast, powerful guy. Could play in several alignments. It'll be interesting to see how he does this year. Just keep an eye on him. He's at Virginia Tech. Tyler Harrell from Alabama. I think I have him down as a 4.25 guy. Super burner. He's a little raw, but for day 3, quick, fast guy, keep an eye on him. If he has a good year, could be moving up. Wayne Ruby, Mount Union. Ready? D3. You have to go digging for his tape, and obviously it's not high quality, but it's impressive. His speed is there, his really great cuts, the technique is there, good hands. He's just obviously not going to have the notoriety because he's a D3 guy, but we got to be looking for everything, right? So UDFA, give him a shot. Tawan Palmer, another guy from UAB, super fast, athletic, under the radar. Hayden Hatton from Idaho, I think he's getting some traction. I've seen some people mention him. Another really great athletic wide receiver. Max McLeod, Colorado Mines. I think that's D2. Another physical freak that you have to go digging for. You watch some of those D2 games. Yeah, there's some parts of the game that are obviously much slower. The quarterback play isn't amazing. Defensive coverage is lackluster, but when you see him play and the way he moves and controls his body, he's worthy of consideration. Another guy like that is David White Jr., Western Carolina. Eggy Hall, Texas. I think he's like a 4.2 guy. Might be buried this year, but somebody to keep an eye on, maybe a day 3. Ryan Flournoy, Southeast Missouri State. Again, somebody you gotta go digging for. You watch his tape, he's got skills. Same thing with Marquise Gray, Southeast Oklahoma. Another guy to point out is Joshua Bunton from Lane. DeMarcus Adams from Syracuse. I don't know why he's going under the radar. Could be a really great day 3 pick. Kyle Sheets from Slippery Rock. Marcel Brooks from TCU. Ray Pringle, Villanova. Ultra quick and fast. I saw some tape, I think, from last year. Really great route runner, good hands, super quick and fast. Jackson Jenke, South Dakota State, also his brother's there. Zach Mathis, North Dakota State. Cameron Johnson from Barton College, good numbers. Bryce Oliver, Youngstown State. And finally, Cole Burgess, Cortland State, D3, upstate New York. Now, most of those names, which will be, day 3 UDFA picks, I think these guys, if you stack the guys who were last year who were day 3 or UDFA, I think these guys would blow them out of the water. The depth in terms of wide receiver this year is very impressive, and there really is no excuse not to walk away. Maybe with at least one out of your 7 or 8 picks that they'll have this year, but not to go full bore on finding some of these guys to sign as UDFA or bring them as camp invites. There really is no excuse this year. There's plenty of talent everywhere from D1 all the way down to D3. All right, let's move on to the tight end class. The tight end class is definitely not as deep as last year's, but it's still pretty solid. The top with Bowers being the top dog, and he will go in the first, possibly even the top 5 pick. The other guys are probably second rounders, all the way to third, fourth, and so on and so forth. You should find solid tight ends this year throughout all 7 rounds and UDFA. The Patriots might surprise us with some early round tight ends if they're best on the board. All right, let's take a look. I've got 47 guys on the list. My top guys are Brock Bowers from Georgia, Jontavian Sanders from Texas, Jaheim Bell from Florida State, and Aron Gatson II from Syracuse. Now, all 4 of those guys, I think, are first rounder, second round talent, really. Brock is probably going to be the only guy who gets picked in the first, so Sanders, Bell, and Gadsden should be available in the second, possibly even third round. Another good guy to keep an eye on is Cade Stover from Ohio State. I thought he was coming out last year. Brevin Spann-Ford from Minnesota, another guy I thought was possibly coming out last year, but he's like 6'7", could be one of your best full-service tight ends in the draft. Another guy who I mentioned in my last video, and he seems to be getting some traction in terms of chatter, is Zach Hines, South Dakota State. He was the counterpart to Tucker Kraft last year, but he's more of an inline guy. I think he's 6'6", 6'7". Still can move, but definitely more of the full-service tight end. Brant Kuithe from Utah. I have him more of as an H-back guy, but he can definitely work as a split. Same thing with G. Scott Jr. from Ohio State. Super athletic. I think he's running like a 4 or 5. Again, could be like an H-back or a move tight end. Jeremiah Pruitt from FAMU. Keep an eye on him. Another guy you got to go digging for is Owen Glasgow. Could be an H-back, but definitely more of like a move tight end. He's a bigger dude from Long Island University. Digging a little deeper, Devin Garrison from Pittsburgh State and Joshua Simon from South Carolina. He should emerge this year, but we'll see what happens. Moving on to running backs, I've got 88 of them. So far, I don't think we have the running backs that are not the same level as Bijan or Jameer from last year. But we have the talent that is very diverse this year. We got big, we got fast, we got strong, we got receivers, etc. Similar to wide receivers, I think I have everything from D1 to D3 here. My top guys are Trevion Henderson from Ohio State, Raheem Sanders from Arkansas, Blake Corum from Michigan, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, Will Shipley from Clemson. Now, these guys I think have an argument to be possibly a first rounder depending on the needs of the team. but most likely could be second or third rounders. Same thing with Trey Benson from Florida State. One of the guys I really like who transferred is Carson Steele. Keep an eye on him. He's from UCLA. Donovan Edwards, another guy who came in with last year from Michigan. Ryan Williams, Ohio State. Just keep an eye on him. He's he'd be second. Yeah, probably second on the depth chart. So he's behind Travion, but he might be worthy of maybe a day 3 pick. Rasheen Ali was injured last year. Kalan Laborn came in, did a really great job. I don't know what happened with him. I think he went UDFA, but Rasheen's probably a better running back, but we'll see how he comes in, how healthy he is, but keep an eye on him. He's from Marshall. Frank Gore Jr., yes. The Frank Gore, he's from Southern Miss. He seems to be well-rounded. I don't know if he's much of a battling ram as his father is, but he's somebody to keep an eye on this year. Now, my favorite guy from Ohio State is Chip Trayanum. Transfer from Arizona State. That can play running back and linebacker. Again, he's probably going to get buried, so he might be a good pickup on day 3. Really underrated, under the radar, because he goes to New Hampshire, is Dylan Loeb. Good running back, good receiver, awesome kick and punt returner. Isaiah Davis, South Dakota State, super fast. Same thing with Jalen White from Georgia Southern. Jordan Houston from North Carolina State. Camaro Edmonds, I believe, is now at North Carolina. I have to go double check on that, but he's a transfer, big back, hits heavy, yet surprisingly agile. Another impressive back is Jarvian Howard from Alcorn State. Keenan Kristen, San Diego State. Titus Swen, who I thought was coming out last year. Pretty impressive from Wyoming. A good all-rounder that's going to go under the radar this year is Bronson Yoder from William & Mary. Some of the bigger and heavier running backs. Nathaniel Omeabu from Angelo State. And probably one of my favorites overall is Khalif Jenkins from Davenport. The guy is a goal line monster. Now I'm going to be moving on to make a brief note about H-back / sniffer and fullbacks here. I think we will see the return of the H-back this year for the Patriots. I think we need to find a tight end or like a fullback that could perform this role and could be worthy of a draft pick. I have a short list here. These are guys that have played in that position, coming from either the tight end or running backs. Okay, so we got Brant Kuithe, Utah. G. Scott Jr. from Ohio State. This is the first time I mentioned this guy, Marshall Martin. He's basically played that exclusively from Sacramento State. Another guy who's been doing that is Dominic Roberto from Furman. Derek Snell from Montana State is another good H-back, fullback guy. Jacoby Buchanan from Army. Much more of the traditional fullback. He's like 260, but he's a battling ram, and he can carry the ball. I haven't seen too much of his hands, but the way the Army use him, he knows how to block and explode. Maybe somebody you can develop. And then bringing back my last 2 guys from running backs, Nathaniel Mayobu from Angelo State, and then Khalif Jenkins from Davenport. All right, let's move on to linebackers, which I have around 60 guys right now. This is a strong class right at the top, and there should be plenty of guys sprinkled throughout, and then another big bump in day 3 of the draft. All my top guys are unique players. In general, the linebacker class is a lot better than last year, in my opinion, especially in terms of depth, and if you consider upright edge players as well. I'm looking at Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson, Barrett Carter from Clemson, Liatu Latu from UCLA, who's also an edge player, Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State, Smail Mondoon from Georgia, Chico Bennett from Virginia, Deshaun Pace from Cincinnati. Keep an eye on him. He's probably very Marte Mapu-esque, but where I think Marte's more of a safety linebacker, Deshaun Pace is probably more a linebacker that could play some safety. He's definitely got that star capability. Cedric Gray, North Carolina. Eric Gentry from USC. Keep an eye on him. He would be very interesting in coverage. Big, long, tall, very athletic. All right, bringing in one of my favorite guys overall in the whole entire draft is Chris Braswell from Alabama. Hasn't really had a shot, obviously, because of Alabama in terms of their linebackers over the last several years. This guy is a monster. I think he's going to have a breakout year. Keep an eye on him. Michael Barrett from Michigan. Physical freak. Trevin Wallace from Kentucky, also extremely powerful. Most of these guys that I just mentioned are probably day 3, but there's also these guys that are definitely going to be going under the radar. Here's a few of them that maybe might make it onto the draft, but might be going UDFA. Ty French, he's an outside linebacker, great in coverage from Gardner-Webb. Same thing with John Pius from another outside linebacker from William & Mary. Inside linebacker, heavy hitter, but still athletic, Jacob Dobb from Holy Cross. Jay Person, outside linebacker from Chattanooga. Branson Combs, inside linebacker, heavy hitter, very athletic too, Southern Illinois. Nate Lynn, another outside linebacker from William & Mary. Armand Bailey, inside linebacker from Sac State. Marcel Brooks, TCU. And Wesley Steiner from Auburn. Again, I will reiterate, this class is very strong at the top, but there's plenty of guys you can get in that second, third, fourth round, and then there's going to be a large bump out in that 5, 6, 7 rounds, and a bunch of guys that are probably going to go UDFA that are worthy of consideration. All right, let's move on to corners, which right now I have 64. I know a lot of you are probably wondering why I'm even proposing some corners here. Well, a lot of these guys played a variety of alignments, so they are worth noting because they could be a great value grab. I will make note that the guys at the very top are not nearly as good as the guys that we had last year. However, most of them are very versatile. All right, starting off with my kind of the first round top end guys, I have Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, Kalen King from Penn State, who seems to can play most alignments, Denzel Burke, another guy who can play in several positions from Ohio State, Kamari Lassiter from Georgia, probably getting in that second, third round. Same thing with Jason Marshall Jr. from Florida. Seems like Max Melton came back for his 57th year at Rutgers. I'd say he's probably third, maybe day 3 guy. Nate Wiggins from Clemson. Again, another probably late day 2 going into day 3. Terry Arnold, Alabama. Keep an eye on him. He's surging. Seems like he's had a good spring. Chris Abrams-Drain. I'm not sure if I really like him or he's somebody that I got some goggles on for him. He's from Missouri. Cam Hart, probably underrated right now. Might move up into it like a third round from Notre Dame. Miles Battle, another guy kind of under the radar, I think, in my opinion right now. Could be a day 3 guy, but it'd definitely be early. Getting into the later rounds, Willie Drew from Virginia State might be drafted, but if he goes under the radar, could be a great UDFA pickup. Same thing with Miles Harden from South Dakota. Trey Vavall from Minnesota State. Isaiah Green from Campbell. He could be one of those guys that, maybe if he makes his way to a Senior Bowl or something where he can show up and impress some scouts. Tyler Owens from Texas Tech. And finally, A.J. Woods from Pittsburgh. Now, moving on to the safety class. This one, if there's anything that's a lot better than last year, it's safeties. It is a lot better. It's a lot deeper. There's a lot more variety of skills, physical talent, guys who can play free, can play deep, can play strong safety, committed to the box, star backers. There's a lot of variety of guys that are playing in the deep secondary that have a lot of talent. One of my favorite guys in the whole entire draft, well, that should be in the draft, but we'll say top prospect of mine is Cooper DeJean from Iowa. Safety, I'm putting him at safety. I think that's where he's going to probably be his best, but he can play corner, and he can play all over the place. Javon Bullard, heavy hitter from Georgia. Andrew Makuba, super fast guy from Clemson, a little raw, but if he shows some growth this year, watch out. Could be early second round guy. Cameron Kitchens, I think he might be a first round guy. He's one of the better free safety prospects out there. Kalen Bullock is a heavy hitter from USC. Keep an eye out him. Another great free safety prospect is Cole Bishop. Definitely has a nose for just where the ball is. Could be a great center field guy long term. James Williams from Miami. He's 6'5". A little raw, but he's basically he's a good, strong safety. I don't know. He would be very interesting to see what the Patriots could do with him. Tyler Nubin from Minnesota. This is some guy I went under my radar, but digging into his tape, looks good. Malachi Moore from Alabama, probably the top corner for them, so we should get plenty of tape on him. I have him kind of like in the third round right now, but he'll have a chance to prove himself. Same thing with Lathan Ransom. Again, another guy, I think last year, he's probably going a little bit. He played the bullet, I think, last year for Ohio State, so another guy that you might want to keep an eye on. PJ Jules, he's a free safety from Southern Illinois, and another good guy to keep an eye out. These much later rounds, Trevor Williams, Sam Houston. All right, another position group that got bolstered this past year is interior defensive line. I've got 100 dudes. Yeah, 100 IDLs. The Patriots might not have a glaring need for a D tackle, but 2025 has some big names up for contract. Yeah, so it's possible to see one of these guys. But, however, I will say that defensive lineman class will run real deep this year. So you could get a great value pickup on day 3. Still, if one of the top guys is still on the board, you might want to grab one of the more expensive positions in the first or second rounds if you really do like the guy. You might get another Keon White here with a guy who can play multiple alignments and techniques. One of my favorite guys is Mason Smith from LSU. Had a knee injury last year, but technique-wise and physically, definitely a first-round talent. Michael Hall Jr., I think people are aware of him, but not giving him the credit that he deserves. He's from Ohio State, physical freak. He's going to cause some trouble. Hopefully this year his tape shows up. He gets a first-round pick, but if not, he's probably second or third at the latest. Drazon Newton from Illinois, coming back. Really big disruptor. Just one of those just absolute problems that you're going to have to deal with as an offensive coordinator in the middle. Leonard Taylor from Miami. Guy just ruins gaps. He just slams into there and you can't move him. Another first round guy could be Ruka Hora from Clemson. He's like 6'5", just under 300, I believe. Could play edge, could play in the inside. Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia. He's probably a day 2 guy. Yeah, I wouldn't see him going past the third round. Brandon Dorlus, another guy, keep an eye. Could be probably a day 3 or day 2 guy, but wouldn't be surprised if he makes it to day 3. Tyler Davis from Clemson, physical freak. Chris Jenkins from Michigan, Word has it this guy's a monster. Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. Another physical freak to keep an eye on. Dante Corleone from Cincinnati. I'm not sure if he is going to be coming out this year. Depends on how his season goes. If not, I think he'll come back next year and even be more of a menace. I have him probably as a second round or third round guy. Local guy, Thor Griffith from Harvard. Plays edge, but can play in the inside as well. I think we see him maybe go day 3. Gabe Hall from Baylor, physical freak. Could be one of our best guys to pick up on day 3. Another guy I thought possibly would come out last year, but came back. If you're looking for a nose guard, somebody that's basically impossible to move and could probably handle 2 or 3 guys, is Elijah Simmons from Tennessee. He has decent tape, but he has to be used correctly. And could be a day 3, possibly even a UDFA guy. I like him. I like his tape. Hopefully this year's shows a little bit more improvement. Now we're going to dig deeper. These are probably all UDFA guys. Andre Jefferson from Lenoir-Rhyne. Christian Boyd, Northern Iowa. Another guy to keep an eye on is Jordan Birch, is possibly a day 3 UDFA guy. Riley Mills from Notre Dame. A physical freak. This guy's very strong, a little bit raw. I shouldn't say at least very raw, but Jalen Hutchins from Texas Tech. Another Oregon guy to keep an eye on is Casey Rogers. Eli Mostert from North Dakota State. Then you have Sundiata Anderson from Grambling State, probably UDFA. And then Robert Horsey from Southern Utah. Yeah, you gotta go digging for those guys, but they're all impressive. All right, finally, let's talk some QBs. I said in the last video, and I'll say it here again, the QB class obliterates last year's, in my opinion. So if the Patriots have a bad year, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the move for a QB. I've got 82 QBs. It's crazy. If Mac has a rough year, we might see some of these top names in play for the Patriots. Again, this class will have multiple QBs go in each round. Starting off at the top, arguably the best player in college football right now, and everybody knows about him, Caleb Williams from USC. Not much to say about that. Drake May, really great pocket passer, but the guy can move, from North Carolina. Quinn Ewers will probably make a push to be a top 5 quarterback from Texas. It depends on how things go. I think in terms of arm talent and potential, he's up there, top 3. It's just, how much development did he have this last year? Bo Nix, I feel like this guy's been around forever, but he's had a good college career, and he's at Oregon right now. Michael Penix Jr., Washington, keep an eye on him. Jordan Travis, Florida State, probably moving into the 2nd, 3rd round for him. Same thing with JJ McCarthy, probably a late 2nd, early 3rd. Then after that, deeper into the rounds, I like day 3 guys. I got Spencer Sanders from Mississippi, and then Jerry Bohannon from USF. Now moving on to edge. Yes, we did just get Keon, but I think we'll need some help if Jennings and Uche are out next year. Indeed, DNs, which are pretty low on my list, but Dietrich Wise will be up in 2025, and we have a good list of solid first rounders. So we might be in a situation just like Keon last year, where these guys are just too good to pass by if one falls into your lap in the 1st or 2nd round. Again, edge rushers being one of those top 5 paid positions. So if it's there, it will be smart to grab one if he has the potential to be a contributor right off the bat. All right, leading off, got speed rusher with Jared Verse from Florida State. Another one of my favorite guys in the draft is Dallas Turner from Alabama. Another guy who's been making a solid move is JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. We have Braylon Trice from Washington. We have Chop Robinson from Penn State. Very interesting. I think he's probably, out of all these guys, probably the closest to Anuche. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, very tough. Good moves, good techniques. Uses inside, chops, spins. He's got moves. All right, Zion Tupelo-Fatui, Washington. Physical freak. Keep an eye on him. Adisa Isaac from Penn State, very physical, very fast. Colin Oliver, Oklahoma State. Bringing back again, because he is an edge rusher, is Chris Braswell from Alabama. Don't forget him. Thor Griffith from Harvard, another good D end. Could probably set the edge very well and be an awesome, great edge rusher. Javante Jean-Baptiste from Notre Dame, physical freak, moves very fast. Jalix Hunt, D end from Houston Christian. Probably looking more like, obviously, UDFA here. Same thing with Justin Blazek from Wisconsin Plateville. Zarian Hayes, Alabama A&M. Again, another UDFA prospect. Jesus Gibbs, a guy I thought was coming out last year. Another D-tackle, D-end, edge guy here is Sundia Anderson, again from Grambling State. Jay Person, an outside linebacker from Chattanooga. Jordan Jefferson, LSU, and Miles Cole from Texas Tech. All right, we do have to mention them. Interior offensive line. These are guards and centers. Yes, we don't need these guys really anymore. I guess I should say for now. But the Pats might be unloading some of their current guards and centers in the next few years, so we have to at least look at them. And having a list of these guys will be helpful because we can see if the Patriots decide to make some moves, we could see where a potential replacement is. Plus, some of these guys have played tackle, so we might see another City So move with a guard that could have some versatility. Starting off, though, as a great center prospect, hopefully you might be able to get him the second or third round, would be Bryce Foster from Texas A&M. After that, Brandon Coleman from TCU, super strong dude. Same thing with Jacob Monk, he's a center from Duke. Restating Kyle Hergel here, again, played some tackle, now he's playing guard for Boston College. Could be a good pickup. Mike Edwards, a guard from Campbell, supposed to be a physical freak. Mason McCormick, South Dakota State. Torcelli Simpkins III, he's a center, but has played some guard and I believe some tackle. He's from North Carolina Central. And Jalen Sundell, another center from North Dakota State, again, played multiple positions. And last but not least, special teams. You got your kickers, your punters, and your long snappers. I'm not saying we need to target these guys this next coming draft, but it's important to note that these lists are not very long. So these guys might be drafted next year higher than usual. Just something to consider when developing an overall strategy for next year, and also defending what the Pats did in 2023. Imagine trying to get Ryland and Behringer in this coming draft. Those guys would probably be shifted up at least a round or two. Out of all these guys that I might consider worthy of a UDFA is probably Michael Vincent, from the long snapper from Notre Dame. He looks solid, and I know the Patriots like having at least two long snappers. So, there are most of my prospects for next year, and the first installment of the Patriots Big Board. Again, we don't know if these guys will decide to enter the draft. In addition, these players are very, very, very loosely ranked. So don't get all caught up in the order right now. Just keep these guys in mind as we get deeper into the college season. My goal is to refine and then add and then refine again and then add over the course of the college season, and as the team's needs become more and more obvious over the course of the regular season. Plus, we will have a better idea of where they're going to pick in the draft. This should be fun, and at the same time, it should help you have a complete list of prospects ready for every step of the draft process and to be prepared for all the different takes from the media. So what do you guys think about the board? Who do you think the Patriots should draft? Where will they draft? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.